AskReddit by Makahatl 288. What world record are you sure you own without any actual proof? Fastest date of all time. I showed up to her house, picked her up, and as soon as we sat down in the car, she said, "TBH, I am really not that interested in going out tonight. I didn't mean to lead you on." I was like, okay, no stress, but I get it. She gets out, I go home. Date lasted like 5 seconds. You're excluding early aughts MTV classic. Next. Not me, but my brother. He was in the backyard, mom was in the front yard. Brother threw a blueberry, yes a blueberry, over the house and it landed in her hand. I can't explain it. I don't know why he did it. We still all talk about it to this day. This was maybe 10 years ago. Blueberry throw of the century. Funny enough, the only phrase I know in Finnish is "who the hell is throwing blueberries?" 57 exploratory operations to retrieve cancer tumors, 30 months of my life living in the death ward. And now I am the longest living from this rare cancer. Meanwhile, the second longest living patient with that rare cancer reading this, steaming. I was riding my bike super fast one time and I have no idea how why, but my front wheel locked up and I flew over the bars. Somehow landed on my feet, and while I'm running out of it, my bike was doing front flips behind me and the front of my seat went down the back of my shorts and I stood there wearing my bike like a backpack. I don't know what the record would be. Maybe silliest almost bicycle crash save. Damn, that's too bad it wasn't filmed. I'd watch that over and over. Highest average of trips to Lowe's when working on a project at the house. The biggest difference between DI and experience is the amount of trips you take to the hardware store. I had so many returns at HD for my first deck, I was put on a blacklist and had to get manager approval ID scanned each time. Edit, a word. I hope you all know that I'm about to beat all these records. Especially touching that guy's penis. That sounds like a threat. I have 2 jaywalking tickets. I've never met someone with one. I can't imagine anyone else on earth has more than 2. Here I was convinced that jaywalking was completely made up, like your dad telling you it's illegal to turn the light on in the car at night. I guarantee that nobody has touched my penis more than I have. So it seems that my invisibility cloak works. I'm the real life good luck Chuck. 4 of my 5 exes married the next guy. If there's someone out there that's cracked 80%, I'd like to see it. Edit, given the flurry of 1-up responses, I'm really questioning some of your definitions of ex. Damn, I'm 5 out of 5. I thought this curse was mine alone to bear. It truly sucks. We should form a support group. It is odd to see this comment having learned yesterday that my 6th has just started dating someone new only a few months after the breakup. I guess I'll get that wedding notice sooner than later too. Spotify said I listened to You Ought to Know by Alanis Morissette 2,719 times in 2022. I'm thinking that's gotta be the recorded 7.45x day. WTF. I can turn my feet backward and have my pinky toes touch while pointing behind me AMD flat on the ground. I applied for the Guinness World Record and they said there's no natural way for this to happen and isn't eligible. Few months later a dude got that world record in India, but his feet don't go as far as mine. That means you can apply again and beat the existing record. Now that there's an entry for this, they can't tell you that you're not eligible. I'm certain I've got the record most screws stripped in a lifetime. You need a screw stripped, I'm your gal. The kind of stripper no father could be proud of. I might have the world record for the longest DVD checked out from Netflix before they ended DVD rentals. I've had Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy checked for the past 15 years since the 12th of January 2008. I checked a Time magazine out from the library 30 years ago. Still have it to this day. It was also the first penis I ever saw, but that's not why I held on to it. I make up sounds or nicknames to call my son every time I see him. We conservatively figured I call him something different 8 times a day. He's 16, so at 6,520 nicknames a year, he's around being called 105,120 different things. I figure if I don't have the record, I'll have it someday. I've called him things from boo doo dee doo to mare headlock to last night's chicken. It doesn't matter anymore. He just answers to anything. Thank God he still loves me. I love this. I was once the youngest person in the world. And someday, you'll be the closest to death. Fastest game of Clue ever. It was my family's and I first time ever playing it. I was the first person to go to. I rolled the dice, got enough to move my character into one of the rooms and guessed the character, weapon, room correctly on the very first turn on the first time we played it. No, I did not cheat or look at the envelope beforehand. It was a freak coincidence. This is actually how you speedrun the PC game. Spam guess and don't move your mouse so it always picks Ms. Peacock in the robe. I lost 400 pounds in 2 years for mo time at 62 years old, no surgery or drug. The good old tapeworm diet. Times I've stood in the kitchen wondering why. Times I went to make something in the kitchen, looked at the instructions, thought I had them down, and then had to get the instructions out of trash cupboard fridge to read them again to be sure. I don't hold it anymore, but I'm pretty sure I held the title for longest distance thrown in a motor vehicle collision for a while. I flew 168 feet, measured from impact to final landing. Sorry bro. I just went and checked, and when my highway bar on my motorcycle dug in, I was catapulted 223 feet. Insane combination of luck, knowing how to land from training, and the thick layer of gravel, which is tons softer than dirty and very common because used out west on ice. One of the dumb things I've done the kids will never ever know about. I 100% believe I have licked a giraffe more times than anyone else alive, and no, that's not a euphemism. Can't just drop some shit like that without giving us more details. Why you licking? Fastest marathon with my hands in my pockets. Started the 2018 Boston Marathon with my hands in my jacket pockets because it was very cold, windy, and rainy. I was warm enough by mile 5, but decided to just keep them in the whole way. I only took them out for water a few times. It was a nearly 4-hour marathon, so not fast, but I doubt anyone else has been dumb stubborn enough to also do it. I was walking 4 blocks with my hands in my pockets. Face planted on broken sidewalk. Ballum. Brain damage. In a coma 2.5 weeks. Woke up paralyzed. Since recovered, but that kind of ruins the drama. So congrats. High score on Marcellus level on Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2. Without cheats. I'm terrible at games, spend next to no time playing them, but that was my jam. Can still pick that game up now and tear shit up. Always told my kids that I was good at it. When the remake came out, we fired it up, let the boys get the hang of it, and then said when one of you feels ready, I'll be waiting. The look on their faces as my score just kept going up was priceless. Fuck, I love that game. Nobody I knew could touch my scores. Largest front teeth. Both my incisors are 12mm wide. New humbugs bunny. The farthest a cue ball has traveled after the break. I broke an 8-ball rack and the cue ball flew off the table just as a guy was opening the door, and it went out the door across the deck and across the parking lot and then also went across the street. It was probably 60+ yards. Most computer problems while using a computer in the proper way. I have a laptop that can somehow create problems that shouldn't be possible. My roommate is a programmer and he usually has a laughing fit when I tell him what's wrong, then having a meltdown once he sits down and figures it out that I'm not joking. The other week this happened. I have a fan that I keep next to my desk. Every time I turn it on, my laptop makes the boo up something is connected sound. When I turn it off, it makes the something is disconnected sound. The fan is in no way connected to the laptop, no USB, nothing. There are no extra devices my laptop identify, and there are no problems with the other devices when I hear the disconnect sound. I have no idea. World record for least amount of times hearing I'm proud of you son. I'm proud of you son. I've correctly guessed 4 Wheel of Fortune puzzles before the first spin. Most intrusive thoughts per minute. Pull the fire alarm, you must see what happens. Pull the fire alarm, you must see what happens. Pull the fire alarm, you must see what happens. Pull the fire alarm, you must see what happens. Pull the fire alarm, you must see what happens. Person who has misplaced the most pairs of sunglasses. I own the largest collection of air guitars and I managed to produce the loudest silence. Most times the difference between RAM and memory has been explained to me and I still don't understand. Generally memory and RAM mean the same thing, actually. RAM just means random access memory. What is confusing you is actually the difference between memory and storage. As for what the difference is, memory is what the computer can use at the moment. Storage is where it stores stuff long term. Basically, if the PC was a kitchen, the RAM is your countertops. More RAM equals you can work on more stuff simultaneously, and storage is your fridge. You get stuff from it and put it in RAM to work with it. Or, if the PC was an office where you did paperwork, the memory is the desk where you actively work on documents, and storage is the cabinet where you store the papers. Repaired a congenital, present from birth, Morgany hernia in a patient who was nearly 90. As far as I know from the surgical literature, that was the oldest patient to have undergone the surgery. I should have published the case but never got around to it because I was in the middle of switching jobs when it happened. About 60% of the first dates I go on are with vegetarians. I'm not vegetarian and do not seek it out in a romantic partner. They never openly proclaim being vegetarian until after we talk about going somewhere to eat. It's also never vegans. I know vegetarian rates vary by demographic but very little of my social circle is vegetarian. I must putting out a vibe I feel those rates are very high. Weirdly enough about another 30% have severe food allergies. I had the same thing happen, but rather than vegetarians, they turned out to be lesbians. 4 separate times I later learned that women I dated came out. I'd like to be able to say I ruined them for all other men, but I know better. My penis was in the Guinness Book of World Records, but then the librarian asked me to take it out. A guy walks up to librarian, I'm looking for that recently published book for men with very small penises. She starts typing the computer while saying I don't know if it's in yet. Yeah, that's the title. Staring at an empty Amazon box in the corner of my bedroom for 3 months. That's a long time to keep your eyes open. Got a royal flush the first time I ever played poker. First hand, 5-card draw. Was a kid playing with my dad, and I had no clue what I was doing. Folded it because none of them were matching and I only remembered him saying pairs etc were good. Never seen one since. Most tank rounds fired while playing GTA Vice City. I think I spawned more bicycles in V than anyone. Caused the world map to despawn and rain bikes. Possibly the furthest accidental distance traveled in a video game. Game was Space Engineers. I was making a custom map, trying to simulate traveling to another solar system, so I decided on a planet to place, zoomed it out till it was out of sight, and then zoomed it out a little more, placed it, as well as a GPS marker where I was so I didn't lose where I was, and then used the game commands to teleport to the other planet. I did so, and the game was instantly glitched out to the point where I couldn't move at all, and the planet was flipping in and out of existence all over the place. The GPS marker I placed read over 1 billion light years away, or more than a quintillion light years. That's about 11 million times larger than the observable universe. Before I did that, I had no idea the game would even measure light years, let alone light years. Sounds a bit like Elite Dangerous, which lets you go way too far away. I know for a fact I'm the most humble person on earth. Today I beat my own personal record of most consecutive days alive. I ended up in hospital with psychosis after not sleeping for over 2 weeks. World record is 11 days. Either you did and forgot and you're bullshitting, or this is legit and IDKWTF to believe, like wow. The number of times I slapped my wife's butt. You beat my record then? Second guessing myself. I own that. Or do you? Least hours of work done for a 6-figure income. I work in government. I bet I can give you a run for your money. From 2001 to 2005 I ran a small web design firm, basically just me, that was contracted to keep the website and database up and running for an international import-export company that supplied office supplies to several major chains. Literally that site never went down or had any problems, so for the better part of 5 years I was getting paid a ridiculous salary to do nothing, and since the work was remote I didn't even have to go into anywhere in person. Literally just sent a spreadsheet via email once a week to corporate that listed a bunch of technical sounding stuff and wrote status. 100% working by each item, and that was it until next Friday. Most times telling my cat he is a sweet little baby. That's only because mine is a sweet very fat baby. From 1989 to about 1999, I was the first person to say the word garbanzo beans for those years. As everyone yelled out, Happy New Year's, I yelled, garbanzo beans. There were a few close calls where friends would try to tie me and ruin it, but they said, wait, what was the word you said again? Some food or something, hence them not finding out until just after midnight. TMI time: most days spent on your F and amp. I'm period. I miss cute panties. I had this issue recently, a year of irregular cycles, then 2 months of non-stop bleeding. Turns out I had a hormone imbalance, and simply starting hormonal birth control set me right within a couple days. Maybe worth talking to your OB-GYN about. I believe that I am the first person to record the entire Panama Canal transit in real time. Nearly 11 hours. https://yahoo.be/mzedog6hxfwc?SIZMIVMRLFRVKTLKN right square bracket open bracket https://yahoo.beamziarg6hxfwcc equals zemivmrlfrvktlkn. In the years since, I have often gone looking for any other video like mine. There are plenty of time-lapse of the transit, as well as real-time videos of a single lock, but I have not been able to find any that show the entire transit. Feel free to prove me wrong. I set the world record for putting 9 pieces of chewed gum up on my face and singing the I'm Just Me song and hopping around on one foot. Most diarrhea in one day.